Get ready to quit the build.
Here we go.
The QTB crew is rounding up all the gaming news and hot topics of the week with a little extra something. And here are your hosts, Bruno, Brad, and Nick.
What it do? You're listening to the QTB podcast. I'm your host, Bruno, and with me are the boys of QTB, our co-hosts, Nick and Brad.
What is going on? And we have got a very exciting show for you today. A lot of fun. I've already advertised on Twitter. The real breaking news that we're going to be talking about later today is the cats in motion capture suits. It's
That's
one of the funniest things I've seen pretty much this week. I mean, I said on Twitter, I said move over Xbox. You think you got a big, $60 billion acquisition. Well, some Japanese game studio is shoving cats in MoCap suits, and that's all we care about. So we'll be talking about that.
That must have been a day to try and fit. I mean, I tried to put my cat in like a Santa hat one time, and it did not go well. So I can only imagine trying to get a cat in a suit and then have it walk around like it's not afflicted.
Exactly. Now, Brad, are you a cat person?
I am. We have two cats, and I think I'm more of a dog person. But we've got two cats, and cats dominate YouTube, and it's about time they're going to dominate the gaming industry too. So,
if any indication of the conversations I've had with Brad regarding cats, he would get rid of them if he had the choice, because he's like, wow, this cat's annoying. It just like comes up to him randomly while he's gaming, and he's like, if I could do it all again, Bruno, I wouldn't get cats. He sounds like a father living regret in his later life. Like his son's not going to grow up to be the QB of the San Francisco 49ers. And that sits in him hard. And he's like, these cats are a disappointment to my life.
Like we were talking about the pre-show, if you look at my hat, it's got a cow, a chicken, and a pig. I'm surprised I haven't put a cat on it yet, if you know what I mean. Talking about barbecuing, baby. But hey, that may be
I'm
church,
not even
but
gonna go there.
We are a game church. We take our listeners to church in the gaming aspect, and we've got a heavy slate today. And I know Bruno's gonna take Battlefield 242 to church today, and I can't wait to get his take on that story. So,
it's going to be fun. Very
what else
interesting.
We have on the docket, Nick?
Well, guys, first of all, we've got to give a shout out to our Patreon supporters because we just love them so gosh darn much. Oh yeah, we're talking about, of course, Indie Gamiacs. We've got Nick, Epic Capture Productions, The Dudest Monk, Alan Abadessa, and Mr. Grove Games. And, of course, a special thanks to one of our newest patrons, of course, the List Off podcast with Brian and Ryan.
Ooh,
they have been, I believe, featured before on the QTB Pod Arcade, which is our the biggest gaming group on the Good Pods app, if you're into indie gaming podcasts. We love just helping to support and spread the love, and they're spreading the love right back. So make sure to check them out. I just listened to their episode on, what was it? They talked about their favorite superheroes that should have video games, and Daredevil, I adamantly agree with, needs his own video game, by the way.
It would just be completely dark.
Yeah, that's what they said in the episode. It'd be a black screen.
That'd be a great VR experience.
That would be. Sensory, right? That's what you say. Absolutely. But yeah, for anyone listening, of course, if you would like to support us, doing so on Patreon is by far the best way, because that monthly support goes directly towards all the amazing content that we have on the QTB network, our in-house podcasts like Quit the Build and Gotta Watch. And you get a shout out on each and every episode, and a lot of other great perks as well. We just aired our special on, Brad and I did an episode of the QTB Nostalgia Vault on our favorite PBS episodes, PBS Kids. That was fun. And we just announced that our second, we're doing 2 this month, is going to be on infomercials. So Billy Mays here. We're going to be talking about everything from the slap chop to that Pure Moods infomercial that would show up at 3 in the morning.
I was going to say, if you don't include Pure Moods, then it just wasn't the 90s and infomercials, because Enya and, all those like trippy tropical songs that you're like, I bet you yoga people dance to this.
Yeah.
I bet you this is how Burning Man started. Someone looked at a Pure Moods commercial and was like, let's do this, but out in the desert. And
Enya was a feeling. That's what I know. Enya was a feeling. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh man. Well, guys,
it isn't an infomercial, but man, the Billy D. Williams Colt 45 beer commercials were just as quality as some of those infomercials you guys are going to be getting into. So just have to get a quick shout out. I know I saw some of what we're going to be talking about, but man, that Colt 45 TV commercial from the late 80s, early 90s is almost as infomercial-esque. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, guys, our big story for today, and it is coming to us from VG247, 24/7, I guess is what they're getting at .com, talking about the release of Battlefield 2042. Of course, it was launched to critical, well, I wouldn't say acclaim. It was very much a botched launch. There's really no other way to look at it. Yeah. And I mean, you want to talk about a fall from grace that this game, I mean, I remember us talking about the trailer and just the epic way that it looked like it was going to bring back the Battlefield franchise. Of course, the legendary Ronda Zook moment, right? Firing a rocket launcher out of that jet and getting back in. And just, it seemed like there was going to be a possibility of saving grace. And then the beta happened, and now we are basically still in that beta in just the worst way. Well, this story basically stating that there are some talks right now that EA is exploring potentially making at least one component of Battlefield 2042 free to play. It doesn't sound like they want to make the whole thing free to play, which I think probably makes sense, but maybe that isn't even the right move. We'll get into it. But what we are hearing is that most likely they're looking at the portal mode as what they want to do, which is basically like the Halo equivalent of a Forge, right? Where you're able to go in and pull from past games, and you have access to this whole arsenal, and basically it's user-created content that they also EA will supply, and DICE will supply some of their own content as well. But, let's go ahead and get this out of the way, Bruno. I know you want to gloat, so here's what I've got for you. I went ahead and pulled this very relevant audiogram that we had from episode 73 with your take and mine. Let's take a look now.
Okay. If you're going to make it free...
That's not happening. I'll tell you what. That is one thing that you will not see. I would be very concerned if all of a sudden they came out, hey guys, it's a free game, come play. I'm going to be like, oh no. Oh, we're getting...
That would mean that would actually raise more red flags.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not. Don't even download it.
Hold on. Well, let me dust off the red carpet for Bruno. Here you go. Take your stroll down the red carpet, my friend.
Let me just
You got debated. You got debated. You got debated.
Oh gosh. Well, listen, here's the thing. Nick was right as well. I don't want to discredit that, because Nick didn't really say anything wrong. He just said I would be very concerned if all of a sudden it switched to free to play, and he's very right? Like we're in this position where the free to play model has only just been thought of because people are basically saying, hey, we don't have anybody that's playing the game. And I've seen some clips of the last two people on Battlefield 2042 duking it out, okay? Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it's got to be, there was literally a guy that was down on the ground for 30 seconds, and some guy just like sat there and just teabagged him for 30 seconds, and you got to wonder, why am I still playing this game? Well, there's like 10 people that are, okay? And they're trying to hold on to those 10 people. But I got news for you. If you don't make something free to play like this, especially in the wake of Halo Infinite just released numbers today saying that this is the best launch that they've ever had for a Halo game in terms of numbers and players playing the game, which is pretty amazing to say the least, and to think back that this was, a free-to-play launch game similar to Apex Legends and Fortnite Battle Royale. So if you don't have some component in there that's free-to-play at this stage in the game, when every other AAA studio is doing it, you can't, not expect, this outcome, right? Am I, prove me wrong, Brad.
No, I mean, I think there's been enough ridicule across all aspects, corners, depth of the internet, right? That this is a not surprising outcome, right? I think there's even been more success with that mock version of the game, Clownfield 2042, when there's more players playing a deliberate mock version of the game or something that's a parody, right? And you're getting more people playing that than the game itself. due course action needs to be taken, right? Nick, tell them a little bit about that.
Well,
Yeah.
before that, like let's there's this whole separate game, right? Clownfield for 2042 that we're going to talk about here. But even so, with a broken game and a disappointing launch like Battlefield 2042, I've been seeing clips recently from Call of Duty Warzone where people are literally flying trucks and cars through the air, Harry Potter style. Like, this isn't an isolated incident. We've got Tim the Tap Man that had a clip on there where he got sniped out of the air on one of these things. So this is widespread, rampant issues with Warzone, and people would rather play that than spend $70 on this. You're going to need to go free to play, or otherwise you're clowning yourself. Nick.
Nice, man. I mean, boy, the segues just get better and better. Yeah, so Clownfield 2042, glad you mentioned it because I was definitely going to. I didn't know about this until recently, but apparently some indie game developers really have capitalized on the commercial failure of Battlefield 42 and its inability to really just get that basic gameplay that Battlefield is known for, right? Destructible terrain, robust landscapes. They're doing it in a parody way, right? In this voxel-style Minecraft style of game. You can see the screenshot down here. It's called Clownfield 2042. And another game that came out called BattleBit Remastered. And they are deliberately made to be a parody of Battlefield, but they came out with just the perfect timing to be like, oh, Battlefield 2042 sucks. We have an option for you. It gets back to that classic, class-based style gameplay instead of having these operators with cheesy dialogue and skins. They're doing like an Attack on Titan collaboration, or was that Call of Duty? That was Call of Duty. But even then, like, they're both. I think both Call of Duty and Battlefield are trying way too hard with the skins. They're trying to be Fortnite, and it's not playing out. I'm just telling you right now. But this game is actually doing quite well. This was as of about a little less than a week ago. BattleBit Remastered had more concurrent players on Steam than Battlefield 2042.
Wow.
Over 4,000 playing this game as opposed to Battlefield. So, to get clowned on by a parody of your own game that's actually achieving commercial success when your game is not, and you've spent, millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, they do have a problem. And you're right, Bruno. What I said when we talked about it before was, right, it puts up all sorts of red flags if they were to say that's what we're going to do. Now, remember, we haven't had an official announcement. This is just kind of insider information at this point. Who knows if they'll actually go forward with it or if they're going to, just save face and try to find some other way that doesn't involve people playing it for free. But I think, the boys of QTB here, we're all, first-person shooter players. We've all played Battlefield games. I think we are all on the same page that we have no intention of paying any dollar value for Battlefield 2042, right?
Well, especially at this point, right? Like, you are definitely not getting my dollaroos, especially when we've got, tons of cosmetics to buy in other games, right? And that's just my claim to fame. Not just that, but just all of the games that are coming up that I'd rather spend my money on, right?
Yeah.
Well, the market is getting saturated, right? All of these games, in a sense, you have to pick what you're, I don't want to say loyal to, but what version of this type of game do you want to play and commit to, right? And so you've got two things here. You've got the pay versus free to play, but you've also got the brand and the loyalty. And when this game, you've got your loyal Battlefield players, but when you come out and you have this mouth-watering trailers and what it looks like, that trailer got everyone super freaking hyped, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not, right? And then all of a sudden the execution is so poor, you set yourself up for some huge expectations and huge delivery, and when you flop, it's monumental in terms of the impact when people have such a I would say a saturation in the market of they can turn to a Call of Duty, they can turn to Halo, they can turn to Fortnite. There's all these different types of games that kind of give you a similar experience that isn't Battlefield 2042 or the Battlefield franchise that, I could see why people are wanting to get their money back or, really like revisiting even the older games to get that Battlefield experience that they were hoping for out of 2042. So, this is, you have to, if you're going to build the expectations that high, you have to execute. And as you said, Bruno, Halo is showing that with the numbers that they just released today. then I think you have to be prepared that if you build it up and it fails, you got to have a contingency plan.
Well, definitely. And I think there's a big misstep we're seeing here from Battlefield, right? Like, the release time of Battlefield 2042 was not great in comparison to kind of releasing alongside Vanguard and releasing alongside Halo within the same, few months span, right? Then you've got the red flag that we showed earlier of, problems within the beta. And then they were the first developer to kind of take the stab in the, in the dark and say, we're going to charge $70 for a game, not the normal 60. So those were like 3 big missteps that they took or had an opportunity to kind of reevaluate what was going on. And I guarantee you now, looking back retrospectively, towards the whole situation, I guarantee you some thoughts are floating around, maybe saying maybe we should have made it $60. Maybe people weren't ready for a $70 game. Maybe that's not where the market is going. And I think that's the clue, right? I think that we're seeing game developers trying to figure out how to make money, how to jump on the Fortnite Warzone bandwagon, right? Where you've got an ongoing stream of revenue instead of just a one and done $70 title.
But here's the point, Bruno. I don't think that was their initial plan, because if we look at the article and the things that we've been looking into, they're almost at a 3-month anniversary of this game release, and there's still no season 1 release yet of a battle pass or DLC content. There's nothing yet. Yeah. And so they probably didn't think that was going to be their strategy going forward. And now if they're considering free to play, they need to scrounge together some type of season 1 battle pass DLC to generate some type of sales. But I think the damage has been done. I think if you come out with it now, it's too little too late. Who's going to want to, because there's just going to be more ridicule, be like, wow, we waited this long and this is the type of battle pass we get. You're only setting yourself up for more failure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Here's how I know that this game is doomed. The cheat providers are pulling support for their cheats. And it's not because of anti-cheat. It's because the game's performance makes the cheats not work properly. This is a tweet that was going out on these discords, right? Where they circulate these cheats, and the game cheat industry is like a multi-billion-dollar industry now. It's crazy what people will pay. So for them to be like, you know what, it works so poorly, we can't design cheats for it. We can't make an auto aim. That's how bad it is. You have to kind of laugh at that. It's just misstep after misstep, but very interesting.
Nick, a question for you. You think about it. Bruno mentioned earlier, these developers spend millions of dollars to release and put out these games. How can you, as a company, have this big of misfire with all these glitches and bugs and crashes and technical difficulties with that much money spent on this? Like, how much of this is a mismanagement at the higher levels of this game release? Like, where does the blame fall?
I mean, you're talking about, we know the AAA game cycle now is so long, like 5 years at the minimum for most of these games. The thing is that we have all of these games that have been created through a pandemic. We can't discount that, right? And we're still on the way out from it, and we're still in this new era of a lot of these companies, and especially game developers are largely working from home. There's great perks from that, right? No one's denying that, especially here. But at the same time, I think it's harder to be like a project manager for something when you're not working with like a cubicle of people, right? I think there's a downside in that regard, where it could be a little harder to have a clear picture for where a game is going and what needs to happen. I mean, we're not people that are in those roles, so it's really hard to say. But I definitely think that just the stress that's been happening, right? These games would have been developed through the entire thing with their own deadlines and windows and goals that would have just been knocked flat on its face in March of 2020, right? So I mean, I think there still is that. I mean, we had major flops, before the pandemic, right? I don't think Cyberpunk gets the same free pass despite its release date. But I that's the only way that I can look in this and be like, okay, maybe you get something where finally EA said, you know what, we got to have something out the door. They answer to their shareholders like any other publicly traded company. So I think that's the big one.
An interesting thing too is right after we're still on the tail end of this Microsoft acquisition, right? And there were rumors that possibly EA might have, thrown their hat in the ring to purchase Activision Blizzard. And now there's rumors floating around that, Sony fanboys are really, holding on to. They're holding tight onto this one, and they're hoping that maybe Sony might buy EA. That's kind of EA Dice or something, because there's talks of Sony actually acquiring a AAA title studio. But I got news for you guys. I don't think that that's a good win, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, the past EA's track record of games right now is not that great. It's not stellar. So, just historically looking, what was that game that came out that was supposed to be really, really big? EA, what was it? Had the mechs, the flying mechs thing. You know what I'm talking about? It's free now. It's free now. Oh my gosh.
Anthem?
Anthem. That's it. Anthem. Yes.
I remember
exactly.
that.
So yes, that's my point, right? Okay. So these are two huge like flops. And you're saying, oh yeah, the saving grace of Sony is going to be us purchasing these companies that don't know what the heck they're doing right now in the gaming sphere. I don't think so. That's not the best call. Like, well, you're not going to save something, especially when you can't figure out your own Game Pass system, right?
Right. Well, I think EA still has a lot to offer. I mean, you've got the EA Sports division with all those games. That's a core component of every. I mean, for a lot of gamers, I love sports games and I would play that. But I mean, there's other games. I mean, obviously you've got the Star Wars franchise games there. I think Knockout City was pretty fun. I know I checked that out when it came out. So they're in Need for Speed, right? There's some racing games, but I don't think it matters if Sony went to acquire any of them. I think it would the way that the perception right now would be seen is that they're scrambling to make a counter move. It wouldn't matter if it was EA or anyone else. That it would be put through a different lens of scrutiny than how we're praising Microsoft in a way of acquiring Activision Blizzard. Right? It would be a completely flip side of the coin.
Well, and then to keep it on topic, either an acquisition like that is not going to turn something like Battlefield around. Like, it's not going to all of a sudden make all these games like, oh, that's awesome. Let's, that's got to be on EA's side. They're going to have to do the hard work, make it free to play, make it enticing for people to actually want to play. That might mean creating a new game mode that doesn't exist in the game. That might happen for Halo 2. We already are Halo Infinite as well. We're already kind of seeing that, battle royale style with the new limited mode attrition that has been added to the game. But that doesn't satiate everyone. Even, Dr. Disrespect has been saying, listen, I don't want a, dumbed down version of battle royale. I want the full thing. And if there's people that are in that camp, regarding Battlefield or the way that it's been released, then no amount of free to play is going to change, the perception of the game. You're right, Brad. People are getting to a point now where we're stuck in the games that we like. We're not really willing to spend the money on something that we don't think is going to have the longevity of something like Call of Duty Warzone or Fortnite or what have you.
Yeah, gaming time is limited. That's just it, right? And that's an issue for anybody. But yeah, I mean, no matter how you look at it, it's not a good situation for Battlefield. I don't see this being a game where 6 or 7 years down the road they can pull a Hello Games and somehow like No Man's Sky turn it into what it should be, because the episodic nature of this franchise and games like this, it's going to be long forgotten by then. But regardless, of course, we've got our listener comments, Mr. Grove Games, saying, no cheats, no, so my dreams of a slappers only cheat dies here. Well, I'll tell you this, Mr. Grove Games, we've got in portal mode, or in the portal mode, right, in Battlefield, if that's the mode that goes free, you actually might get your slappers only mode, because the reason why that is kind of considered to be the premier mode that they want people to come into and play for free is because you have that customization. In the trailer for that, they were showing people just like getting into a giant knife fight, like the 64 versus 64 knife fight.
So you're telling me, Nick, this is what you're telling me, right?
Yeah.
You're telling me that EA's like they're what they're going to do to save Battlefield is make a free to play game where you don't get any guns. You got to pay money to get the guns.
I didn't say that. I mean, that would be savage. Yeah, you got to get your loot box to get the guns.
It's going to be a free-to-play game, knives only. You got to pay for the battle pass to get guns if you want to actually play with guns.
You heard it here first, folks. Absolutely. We'll give it a shot. I love it.
Talk about paying to win, right?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'll tell you about paying for something. I don't know if it's winning, and that is whatever the heck Netflix has going on right now. Our next story coming from... Thank you very much. Coming over at IGN.com, talking about what is basically I think the next big service to try and come out in this space, right? Netflix. That they are making a claim that they're aiming to have the absolute best gaming service in the industry. Boy, that is... I know in the world of corporate speak and press releases, you have to shoot for the moon and just hope you land somewhere close. But boy, that is a tall order for a company right now that barely even has their foot in the door. You can argue that they really don't even have that. Yeah, appropriate. Yeah. So this story talking about in a recent earnings interview, the CEO of Netflix, Reed Hastings, talking about how the company has been trying to approach interactive content over the long term, right? It hasn't just been gaming. They did, for a little while there, dive into the idea of kind of choose your own adventures like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt or, of course, Bandersnatch, right, from Black Mirror. But we have him saying at this meeting, we have to be differentially great at it. There's no point of just being in it, right? He says he wants us to go in there and just be, guns blazing, right? And somehow come out on top with this cutting edge thing. But here's the thing. And I don't know if you guys have really paid any attention to what like Netflix has been doing since the last time we talked about this last year. Not much. And I hate to say that, but most of the offerings that they do have right now, and they come free with your Netflix subscription. I guess we really can't complain in that regard.
And they just raised the price.
Well, yeah, there is that. Maybe that's what happens. They just raised
the price, so you know that's another thing. We're getting a lot, and I just read also that Netflix loses something like they said like $135 million plus from shared passwords on the platform. I don't know if they'll ever mitigate that or fix that or whatnot, but that's nothing. That's nothing in the days of billions, right? We're talking billions that they're making from this, and I don't know, Nick. I don't know if jumping into the gaming sphere is going to work for him.
Well, like I said, so since November of last year when they really started to have these offerings, and if you didn't know this, on the mobile app for Netflix in some countries, you can go on there and stream certain games right from the platform with touch controls. And the games that they have so far, I could not be less whelmed. I think that's the term I'm looking for.
Whelmed.
They've got Crispy Street, which is a Where's Waldo-esque game. I mean, everybody loves Crispy Street. That's one of the most iconic franchises. Couldn't believe they got turned down for Smash.
Okay, this is so weird you mentioned Where's Waldo, because I was literally watching a Jacksepticeye video today where he was watching scary videos, and there was one called Wally, and apparently Where's Waldo is called Where's Wally in the UK.
Oh, okay.
That's where it originated, and so I don't know why Americans call it Where's Waldo, but his real name is Wally, and we call him Waldo, so...
Yeah.
Dent.
Fantastic. Okay, now you know.
And now you know.
That's right. Yay! And we've got Nittens. Nittens, of course. I mean, look, once you have Nittens, really, that's the blockbuster IP. I mean, we're talking about a mix-up of Candy Crush, Bejeweled. Nittens is Netflix's own Match 3 puzzle game. I mean, you want to talk about riveting cat and yarn-based gameplay. This is right up there with the greats like God of War.
Right up there with the greats like God of War.
That's all I've got.
I wasn't ready for that.
Okay.
The best-in-class gaming experience, Bruno.
I have to say, I can see where you both are going with this, and I'm going to try to defend Netflix a bit here for venturing into the gaming space. And I will lead with my lead point, which is that I can quote Phil Spencer from Xbox saying that he thinks it's smart what Netflix is doing.
Oh, and that, I love Phil.
They're buying studios. They're learning about the creative process of interactive entertainment. And he thinks it's a smart way for them to move into the space. And so the fact that they're looking at this and I think it can exist in parallel to the consoles and and what Xbox is doing with Game Pass or even their mobile streaming, like their streaming, Xbox games. I think this is going to become something now where people who can only afford one option, right? Like if they can't afford Game Pass, they can't afford Netflix together or HBO Max or Hulu or whatever. If Netflix can offer gaming, movies, TV series all in one, I could see how this would be attractive as a price point offering to a family of 4. Right?
Okay.
You've got the content for the parents, the content for the kids, and games now that could be played by everyone.
I will agree with you because I firmly believe that we are entering a new era of gaming. I had this conversation the other day with a friend, and we were basically talking about cloud gaming and the Game Pass subscriptions and whatnot, just how that is being integrated into gaming, and how, soon you're not going to need a console. You're just going to need a subscription to something. It'll be built into TVs. Like Nick said, you might get a little Fire Stick thing that you just pop into the TV, and then there you go.
Yeah.
But
you notice how he didn't use the soundboard for that one?
He didn't need to. He is the soundboard sometimes. Right, he's like that guy from Police Academy.
Exactly. But I think that we're entering a new. There's this new demographic that's being created, and I call it the grandma demographic. That's what I call it, like the grandma demographic, the babysitter demographic, right? Where, you may not want to spend the money on a console or something like that, but hey, little Timmy can come over and play video games because we've got Netflix, right? And so pretty much everyone has Netflix at this point. So if you put gaming on there, they will 100% play the games. I think if you keep that in mind in regards to like, who are we targeting, right? Like we're not targeting traditional gamers in that respect. I think we're targeting the grandmas out there. They want to do they need something like this, something that's gonna be easy for them to entice when the kids come over, so that way they're not like, oh, I need to bring my Switch or something like that, right? You can play video games at grandma's house. She has Netflix. So, I think that's where we're going to go with this type of demographic. And I think that as long as we keep that in the back of our minds, it's not going to appeal to the traditional gamer, right? You and I aren't going to sit there and be like, oh man, Knittens is the new game. I gotta get on there and play that. It's the only reason I got a Netflix subscription was for Knittens. Like that's never gonna happen.
Yeah, right.
Bowling ballers, anyone?
But you can't deny if Knittens is like Candy Crush in some factor. I mean, how big was Candy Crush, right?
Yeah.
So there is proof in the pudding that games like these could be massively successful. But you're right, it's the target demographic, and I really think this is different demographic that can exist in parallel with, I think, the demographic that we fit in as gamers, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is a really important point to kind of read between the lines on this, and Netflix maybe, I'd rather be the first in than the last one to jump, right?
Yeah.
And
That's true.
I could see if this becomes successful, then you're going to see Hulu or HBO Max or all these other streaming companies add a gaming element to their offering. And then Netflix can say, well, we were the first to do it, just like they were the first to, kind of do this, this whole experience with movies and TV series.
And it's not uncommon, right? Like, I mean, let's think back to yesteryear of Blockbuster. When, Blockbuster was originally movies, and then video games started to really creep up. And then I remember specifically them saying, we've got Nintendo 64 games now. We have, new generation console games available where you can, spend $5 and rent them for the weekend or whatever. Even Redbox got into the gaming sphere, right? By allowing people to rent video games from Redbox. So it's not out of the norm, right?
How many times are you with your parents as a little kid and you go, "Oh, mom, are you renting a movie? Can I get a game?" Right?
Yeah.
Like, and now that they can just click and get that too, like that easy clickability, availability is going to yield transactions. Like it just is because of the accessibility for parents to be able to have that option for their kids. Like it's gonna happen.
Nick, hit him with those mobile numbers because people play lots of mobile games, right? Like there's got to be a demographic here.
Oh, no, I mean, and you guys are right on the nose. Like it's all about access to games, right? The cloud gaming revolution right now, everyone's trying to come up with their own versions. And we've talked before about how it's great that you have, Xbox just trying to make a Game Pass app, right, that you can just get on TVs. It's great that you have Google with Stadia that they're trying to get on smart TVs. But what better way to make your way into the gaming industry than with a service that most people already have?
Yeah, that's
that part makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, you're going to have to upsell. You cannot maintain the same monthly price and bake in, big games if they really want to be best in class and bring in, these major titles. I'm guessing that's what they want to do if they say they want to be best in class. But it's very much an industry right now. I'm just going to show you this stat right here because I think it speaks for itself, which is that mobile commerce sales are projected, and we should know soon, are 3.56 trillion in 2021.
Wow.
Right?
That's with a T.
With a T.
We're moving up.
So
I mean, the bees were bad, Nick.
Obviously, that's a whole lot more than just games or apps. That's the entire mobile industry, right? But that very much kind of is the proof in the pudding that there is a massive market right now that needs to be satiated. And I think you're right. That's going to be where it's at, where somebody has Netflix. They see that the gaming is there. If they see big enough games and they say, oh, for a couple bucks more per month, I can just tack it on. Maybe they'll send me like a Wi-Fi or USB controller like I can link up. That's going to be the last problem that a lot of people are solving is, you can put gaming in front of people, but how do you make it easy for them to play those games? Touchscreen controls really aren't always the answer, especially if the game itself isn't designed for touchscreens, right? No. That you need something very creative, and I think that's the last thing is you need to have that generic USB wireless controller or USB.
They'll start packaging it with TVs.
Yeah,
just the same way they do with Netflix and whatever. You'll get it just alongside your remote. It'll be like your normal remote, and then boom. Or you might even see like a Switch style TV remote. Yeah. Where some buttons act as the D-pad. I mean, we already really see that. I mean, I've got, a Samsung remote right here for our watchers of the video podcast, and you can see it's got a D-pad right here. Now, if I flip this on the side, and have, some buttons right here. We've got an A and a B button, an entire wheel here, and a center click button. So you wouldn't even need to add a separate controller in there. You just need to figure out how to get the normal controller to be a gamepad, and you can do that with a few buttons. Nintendo has proven that. You don't need to add something different. You can just use something like this. Go for it.
We're just spitballing. He's just spitballing, folks.
I'm spitballing here. This is
a treasure trove of ideas.
But your point, right, Bruno? The logistics are easy to figure out. Yep. If you're the first to market with a minimum viable product, MVP for those out there, economics lesson, shout out business. You have the time to scope and flesh those things out, right? Because you'll learn and be able to be agile in the way that you can respond, whether leveraging the TV manufacturers and improve those universal controllers or include one of your own. I mean, how many times have I bought a TV and on the controller itself, there's a Netflix button? I just press that and it takes me straight to the Netflix app on the TV, right? So they already have those relationships established that they could either, like you said, retrofit or find a way to make those existing controllers functional for games. There you go. Yep. Or you just find a way to add in a controller that is at a nominal cost, right? And they can help manufacture those, and those will be simple and easy to use. So I think the logistics side of it really isn't going to be that too difficult, right? I think the accessible, and like you said, Nick, the platform's already there. People they have a huge consumer base, and now you just add this as an element to boost your offering. Like, I mean, the supply chain, the reach is there, the distribution, the availability, the accessibility. I mean, from a business standpoint, it looks like it could be a home run. It's just you got to look at what your numbers are going to be and if you can get enough people to buy into that idea.
You've got to get the games. And that's the big thing is that, and I've talked about this a million times.
We've seen it with Ouya.
Yeah, well, yeah. that Stadia has the best cloud gaming infrastructure in the game right now. No one's doing it better from a hardware perspective, an ease of access perspective. It's so easy to get in there. The input latency is so low if you're relatively close to a data center. That part is true. Everyone's mileage varies. But they just don't have that AAA game lineup that's going to make it a no-brainer for someone to head to the platform. And Netflix is absolutely bone dry right now.
But let me ask you this. People balked at the idea when Netflix decided to start their own studios to produce TV and movies. And now what? They're winning
you can go back
awards.
even further, right?
I mean, I'll argue that maybe they've saturated their own platform as well, and gotten to the point where if you're not into the original Netflix series that are out there, then it's not even the best platform to really watch movies or anything like that. I'd say you could probably get more from a subscription to Paramount Plus or Disney Plus in terms of movies.
But how many
original
of those have been
content,
modeled? How many of those have been modeled and based off of the Netflix structure, right? Like those have learned and taken their own spin on that, right? So again,
you're
give them
100%
credit.
right in that
Like,
respect.
so-
Hulu has done their own Hulu Originals. They're producing How I Met Your Father right now, and it's exclusively on there. So, I mean, there's so many things that you can produce in house, which is why we've got Pierce Unlimited in the house. What?
Oh my
Segue.
goodness. And Mr. Grow Games said it best here that, we need to start marketing Pierce Unlimited for the grandma demographic.
Yes, I can do it.
If Netflix can do it, so can you. And absolutely, with the help of Pierce Unlimited, boy, any kind of project that you might have, whether it be professional or just a hobby, they've got the right solution for you with their marketing media services. Over 15 years of professional experience in the business coming to work for you. Oh, this is a nice one, Bruno. I'm not going to do more than that. It would be terrible. Motion graphic animation, corporate graphic design, you name it, and of course our amazing podcast production packages. You get it all at Pierce Unlimited. Stop on by. You get a free quote, whatever you might be in the market for. I know a lot of our fellow podcasts do listen to our podcast and vice versa. So a great way to take your podcast production to the next level.
Bruno, way to transport me to Paris where I feel like I should be eating a really nice meal cooked by a rat.
Hey, exactly. That's what I'm told. That's what I'm talking about. And we're just going to hit a hard segue here. Are you ready?
Okay. Ooh, nice. Well, actually, I already had a segue that Brad just teed me up because our next story is actually talking about rats, cats, and all manner of things. About the upcoming action RPG Black Myth Wukong. Okay, so this is breaking news, and I'm gonna put up the breaking news banner on this because it's that important.
Wait. I got you. I got you with some breaking news. Ready?
Yeah. This is Motion Capture Cats. I'm Tom Brokaw. We're too old. We shouldn't be saying Tom Brokaw. That's not. The kids don't know Tom Brokaw.
I'm George Stephanopoulos.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, guys, this story, and I mean this one absolutely cracks me up. So this is a very fun way to kind of get some marketing hype behind your game. I love it when companies do this. So there's a 13-minute trailer that's been released for the game Black Myth Wukong. But this story from IGN saying, don't expect much in the way of new information, as it's a short comedy film featuring some silly gameplay. And the most important thing of all, motion capture cats. Whoa, that's loud. But when this ad finishes playing, look, we do it live. We're gonna Bill O'Reilly this thing. We're gonna do it live. But so this video, and the game looks good. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna lie. I hadn't heard anything about it prior to this story breaking, and it's talking about this game where I guess you play different mythological creatures, right? From the Chinese like zodiac, right? You have the Wukong monkey, right, and all sorts of cool stuff. And in this video, they're talking about, it's like a mockumentary from the game studio talking about how they know that, normally motion capture is done with, bipedal humans, right? For that kind of thing, for human motions. But when you have actual animals as part of the game, how do you make that happen? And so they show this part. I'm going to skip ahead here to the 4-minute mark where they start wiring up these cats with motion capture devices for anything in the game that's a quadruped. They utilize these cats, And they show them over the course of this video, over 15 minutes or so, attempting to just awkwardly walk around. I think of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Charlie Kelly does an infomercial for kitten mittens, which are just like little like bags you put over your cat, and it shows the cat like awkwardly walking around trying to take them off and falls off a table. Look at those cats go, man. This is why you need to be on the video podcast.
Exactly. Well, and I'm telling you, it looks like they're having fun here, but I almost thought to myself, these poor cats, they're just going to turn to the camera and just be like, well, it's
There it
a
is.
living.
He did it right there. He did it right there.
Oh, you gotta watch your video.
Was it coming to go?
Quitthebuild.com. If you're not watching it, then you're not seeing it. You're just
right.
hearing it.
So at the very end of this video,
I was gonna say, I hope there's a disclaimer at the end of this video that no cats were harmed in the making of this 13-minute, trailer.
yeah, you have to hope that they did.
Where's
man.
PETA? Where PETA's gonna be breathing down your neck here,
They went after Super Meat Boy, and they'll come after you too. That's all I know. They did, yeah. They did a soy version of it, like Super Tofu Boy or whatever, to promote a vegan lifestyle.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna pull a Bruno right here.
Super Tofu Boy.
I bet these developers are hoping that this game will be the cat's meow.
Oh my goodness. Oh, he's not pussyfooting around today. I'll tell you what.
Hey, whoa!
I mean, cat jokes are everywhere. That's where it's at. But yeah, so this video, again, it's a 15-minute mockumentary from the people that made the game. I love this kind of tongue-in-cheek humor, especially when they take themselves so seriously. That at the very end, in this alternate universe where they stick with this motion capture cat thing to make the game, we see that the entire game studio shuts down and is reopened as a restaurant, which is also kind of, we were talking about barbecue cats earlier. I guess we're really bringing it full circle here on the QTB podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think they're barbecuing cats. I hope not. Yeah. But no, look, here's my point with this. And, I'll let you guys kind of give your take on it is I love it so much when game developers, especially for games that are really serious, right? And this game looks to have a pretty serious undertone. It doesn't look like there's any kind of comedy aspect to it. But for them to come in with this, they spent a lot of time, developing this mockumentary. Some budget went into it. And now it's paying off big time because we're talking about it on this podcast. And a lot of people are sharing this video because it's so gosh darn funny seeing these cats in fake MoCap outfits.
And Quit the Build is talking about it, then it's news because we called the free-to-play Battlefield 2042 way before that ever happened. So you're talking to Bruno Stradamus, Nicocrates, and Brad.
I don't want to be Nicocrates. Can I get a new name? Can we send that back?
Just Brad.
And Brad the Meat Church. Yeah. Amazing.
Braddy the Elder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But to your point, Bruno, I think, given your ability to forecast these things, if you've seen the actual trailer, the Unreal 5, supported by, the Unreal 5 and Unreal Engine 5 gameplay trailer, this, to your point, Nick, this looks incredible. Like the graphics, the gameplay looks like it could be a straight up winner. So yeah, I agree with you. I think the tongue-in-cheek approach here with this is only going to, it shows you that even these serious games, the developers are humans and they have ability to display their creative side and how they really enjoy every aspect of creating a game and an experience for us as gamers. So I do think the alternate reality and motion capture for cats was hilariously and really well done. But it does, I encourage everyone, if you haven't, go check out the Wukong official Unreal Engine 5 gameplay trailer. It looks incredible. So
and cats are in this year, okay? Like I said in the pre-show, they've got that new game that's coming out this year, Stray, where you play as a stray cat walking through what looks like Tokyo or some like a cyber
dystopian future,
right? Yeah, it looks like a cyberpunk type. Yeah, with it just looks amazing. So obviously, and then there's that game I Am Fish, which is actually
It's on Game Pass. I want to play that.
Yeah, it actually is really cool. You play a fish who needs to get out of his bowl and into a different pool of water somewhere. So you're basically going from one pool of water to another in ways that you shouldn't be able to, like through gutters and all this kind of stuff. So I think these types of games are really great for us as gamers, just because it shows you what you can do with something that you might not think about. I think about Grand Theft Auto and how you could go around Grand Theft Auto and find peyote plants within the campaign. And if you ate those peyote cactuses or cacti, then you would turn into a specific animal, whether it was a bird or like a bear or anything like that. So, I think gamers really, and every time I turn on Facebook, guys, I'm always seeing some guy as a cow running around Grand Theft Auto. I'm like, how'd you get a cow in Grand Theft Auto? So obviously there's a market for this type of thing, regardless of, the humor or the tongue-in-cheek aspect of it. There's something to be had here from this type of technology and pursuit in gaming, because we gain so much information as animators and as developers to see how things should move, right? There's nothing more janky than playing a video game where the movement is off and it's like, that's not how that moves. Like, you immediately notice it. So I think that there's something to be said. While it looks silly to hook MoCap technology up to an animal, you get to see things that you didn't before. The subtle movements of their joints and the way they, just absorb the impact, the physics of it are just really beautiful. So, it's simple, but it's pretty cool in the long run because we get better video games out of it.
Absolutely. And I have to point out that, we were first out of the gate here when I had shared our upcoming live stream saying, hey, look, move over Xbox. The real breaking news this week is cats and motion capture suits. And if you were following us on Twitter, of course, dear listener and or viewer, you would know, which reminds me, if you stop by our website, that's going to be quitthebuild.com. You're going to get access to not only all of our socials, right? You get Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff, but you get so many other great things. Oh, yeah. You get to check out our merch page. We've got all sorts of great t-shirt designs available for you. We've got our incredible blog and, of course, all of our amazing network partners. With our in-house podcast, Gotta Watch, coming back for season 2 the first week in February. Our Patreon supporters are going to be listening to that as early as this Thursday, just less than 2 days away. When we do Dim Boys Month, we're going to be talking about all of our we call it Dim Boys Month because, of course, Bruno, you and I and a lot of our friends in high school, I don't know why this happened, but we all had like February birthdays, right?
Yeah, our parents were getting it on 9 months beforehand, I guess.
No kidding.
So a lot of action going on right in the summertime, I suppose.
The living's easy. It's what they say. Oh my goodness. But so many great podcasts waiting for you here at quitthebuild.com/network. So definitely check out that website. Follow us on the socials. Bruno, what do you got for the nice people out there?
Ooh,
just that,
Nick, and we have some amazing content coming up for you guys. Nick and I have been working on something super special and we're excited to bring it to you. We should have more information coming soon, but we're trying to keep a tight lid on it because it's going to be truly groundbreaking, something that you've never seen on a podcast before. I can guarantee, or listen to on a podcast before, because that's really what you're doing here. You're listening or watching it if you're on Spotify or YouTube, right? What it do?
But it.
Either way, it is going to be amazing. I'm excited. I'm excited for all the games coming up here. It's going to be a great time to be a gamer in 2022, and we are going to bring you all the news and all of it. There you go.
You
heard it here first. Punch.
Oh, Brad, pick it up. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm speechless. Bruno again left me speechless. I mean, how can you follow that? I mean, Another great way to make sure you get our content, right, Nick, on Twitter, you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter, right? We still have that going on. So if you're on Twitter, subscribe there. It gives you links to our latest podcast episodes, some other featured news, and make sure to join our community. We want to hear from you, right? We want to hear from our listeners and, really hear what you want to hear, what you want us to talk about. If you've got any creative ideas. And of course, if you feel the need and you love what we're doing, join our Patreon. We've got a lot of awesome content for our Patreon subscribers on there, and we want you to be a part of that as well. So really appreciate the support and keep on listening.
There you go. Bruno, hit him with that thing we do.
Oh, man, I am so glad you guys have been listening to the Quit the Bill podcast. It's been an amazing time. And I got news for you. If you want to listen to us, you can listen to us every week on Wednesday at quitthebill.com. For Nick and Brad, I am Bruno.
For Bruno and Brad, I'm Nick.
Meow.
Peace out. What it do?